Latin King street gang member pleaded guilty Tuesday to murder in the beating death of a transgender teen who had once considered him a boyfriend. Josh Vallam appeared in George County Circuit Court at 2:30 p.m. and entered the plea. Vallam's attorney, David Futch, said Tuesday he could not comment further because of an ongoing federal investigation by the U.S. Department of Justice to determine whether the killing was a hate crime. Federal agents were in the courtroom for the plea hearing. Judge Robert Krebs sentenced Vallam to life in prison. The Sun-Herald learned after court adjourned that Vallam will be held at an undisclosed location pending possible federal action against him in the case. He is expected to be held in isolation. Vallam could have gone to trial next week in the 2015 killing of Mercedes Williamson, a 17-year-old aspiring cosmetologist from Theodore, Alabama. According to District Attorney Tony Lawrence, Williamson asked Vallam if she were being set up when they approached the Mississippi state line the night of the murder. Vallam told authorities previously that he used a hammer to beat Williamson to death while they were in Vallam's car on his father's property in George County. He claimed he killed Williamson after he reached between her legs and realized she had a penis. But other witnesses say Williamson dated Vallam and the two had an active sex life. They said Vallam knew Williamson was a transgender girl. After the murder, Williamson's killing made national headlines when Caitlyn Jenner remembered her during an acceptance speech for the 2015 Arthur Ashe Award at the ESPY Awards. Vallam's plea comes less than 2 weeks after witnesses testified in a pre-trial hearing in the case. Suspect knew victim was transgender at a June 23 pre-trial hearing. Williamson's former roommate testified. She said Williamson spoke openly about how she and Vallam would be killed if members of his gang, the Latin Kings, found out about the homosexual relationship. The gang's bylaws strictly prohibit homosexual activity. Williamson, the witness said, usually spent the night with Vallam several times a week and the two called each other baby and often told one another they loved each other. She said the couple also had an active sex life, and Williamson talked openly about the sexual relationship the two had. Williamson and Vallam, the witness said, acted like a couple and were openly affectionate. She said the two stayed at her trailer and didn't go out much, though she said she remembered one instance when Vallam took Williamson to a Latin Kings beach party in Biloxi. Williamson, she said, thought she was safe and said she didn't have anything to worry about. Prosecutors believe the testimony showed that fear of exposure is what led Vallam to kill Williamson. The killing. According to the murder indictment, Vallam is accused of killing Williamson sometime between May 30 and June 2, 2015. He is facing a maximum sentence of up to life with parole for the killing. Vallam has been in custody since June 2, 2015, a day after he told his family he had killed someone and buried the body on Vallam's father's property in rural George County. On May 30, 2015, Jacob Vallam said his brother, Josh Vallam, walked into a room at their father's home with his shoulders covered in blood. I asked him, "What the heck happened?" Jacob Vallam said at the pre-trial hearing. His brother, he said, told him, "Well, it was my life or his." Jacob Vallam said he also tried unsuccessfully over the years to convince his brother to end his affiliation with a gang, but his brother didn't heed the advice. Victim had too much information. Another witness said Vallam came to her home on June 1, 2015, and told her he had buried a body on his father's property. The witness said Vallam told her he had killed someone because they had too much information on him and he wasn't going down. Other witnesses confirmed Vallam's affiliation with the Latin Kings, a street gang originating in Chicago in the mid-1960s, with the intent of helping Puerto Rican immigrants overcome racial prejudice. The gang expanded over the years and now has members of various races throughout the United States. The gang, according to authorities, is notorious for its alleged involvement in various criminal activity, such as drug sales, weapons trafficking, murders, assaults, armed robberies, kidnappings and other crimes. In a letter Vallam wrote from the Jackson County Jail unseized by authorities, He talked about how officials thought he was some low-ranking secretary in the Latin Kings instead of secretary of the gang statewide. Former George County Sheriff's investigator Ben Brown said Valem was reluctant to talk about his gang activities and did not want to turn over any documentation he had on the gang. Kill on sight. Other witnesses at Valem's June hearing confirmed his gang membership and said his gang name was King Chaos. Valem has the name King Chaos tattooed on one of his arms along with the other various Latin Kings tattoos, including the gang's 5-pointed crown, on his body. The gang's membership list, District Attorney Tony Lawrence pointed out in June, contained such abbreviations as COS, short for Kill on Sight, by certain names on the gang's membership list. Other notations showed certain members had been excommunicated from the gang. A question of gender. Brown said Valem readily admitted he had killed Williamson, but claimed he didn't know she was transgender. Valem told investigators he was kissing Williamson when he reached between her legs and realized she had a penis. Valem told authorities he blacked out after that, and the next thing he knew, he was holding a hammer and standing over Williamson's dead body. After the killing, an investigator said, Valem said he placed the hammer and a stun gun in a plastic bag and threw it off a bridge on Interstate 10. Former gang leader testifies Valem later parked his car at the home of Dustin Kelly, a Latin Kings member who used to be head of the group. Kelly said he also served as the gang's enforcer, or the gang member charged with carrying out punishment to members who violated any of the gang's bylaws. Kelly is the brother of Dexter Kelly, a Meridian native, currently jailed in Jackson County on a charge of murder in the beating death of his nephew, Cliff Allen. Kelly said has had no contact with Valem since learning of his homosexual activity. He also said he is no longer a member of the gang. Lawrence pointed out at the pre-trial hearing that the gang's membership list included such abbreviations as COS, short for Kill on Sight, by certain member names. The infractions were not included by the names. Kelly, however, said he did not know of any orders to kill any member for anything they may have done. He said the gang members usually decide together the punishment for an infraction. He said unwanted gang members are usually excommunicated from the group. Kelly admitted he had been a member of the gang for some time. In fact, the gang members often met at Kelly's home in Gautier. He was living with his father, Paul Kelly, at that time. Kelly said he and Valem and other members sometimes hooked up with other out-of-state members of the gang. In one instance, he said, both he and Valem attended a Latin Kings party in Massachusetts. Kelly said he never knew Valem had been involved in any homosexual activity until after his arrest. Hate crime. Early in the investigation, George County investigators told the Sun-Herald they were looking into whether the crime was gang-related, drug-related or a hate crime. Federal agents with the U.S. Department of Justice are continuing the investigation. FBI agents and an attorney with the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division has attended hearings in the court case. Federal law says a hate crime is a crime committed against someone or someone's property because of bias against race, religion, disability, ethnic orientation or sexual orientation. Authorities did not identify Williamson as a transgender girl at the time of the killing. Instead, the Sun-Herald traveled to Alabama and confirmed the information. Though Valem listed his home address in George County at the time of the crime, friends say he often stayed in Theodore, Alabama.